So I'm just going to bring up Julie Creffield. With Julie, when I was doing my research, I was looking on her website. So I just want to read something, just so you get to know what Julie's about. It says, "My name is Julie Creffield, and I am a runner. I'm not your typical runner, though, because I am fat." And when I saw that, I was just like, wow, okay, she's going in straight away. And then it goes further down and it says, "It is quite integral to my story though, as in 2003, weighing almost 20 stone, a work colleague convinced me to take part in a 3K fun run. And with absolutely no training, I almost died on the way round. And not only due to the unusual strain on my body, but also from pure embarrassment when a young boy shouted, 'Run, fatty, run!' as I passed him. And for me, that kind of like, was that the start of everything? So do you want to explain a bit more about it?
So I was working as a project manager on the Olympics, and my job was to inspire other people to be healthy, but I wasn't healthy at all. I wasn't leading by example. And yeah, that little kid said, "Run, fatty, run." And I think it kind of woke me up that, not necessarily about my size, you know, I've always been quite confident in my own body, but it was more to do with like my health, and that I really struggled to breathe properly and stuff like that, and I really wanted to start taking better care of not only my physical health but my mental health and well-being. So I started running, and I was running for a number of years, but doing it kind of in secret, and wasn't really progressing. I didn't join a running club because I was too embarrassed about my size. And then I came dead last in a race, and by the time I got to the finish line was gone. And I was like, on the one hand I was really embarrassed, and then on the other hand I was really kind of angry, because I was like, I paid my money like everybody else. I wasn't actually that slow in comparison to other kind of races, and I was like, you know, this can't just happen to me. And I started writing a blog which was called The Fat Girl's Guide to Running, and that's where kind of my journey began in terms of what I'm now doing, which is kind of an online movement, a kind of online fitness brand. It's a global fitness brand where I've had 3 million overweight women go onto my website. I have 25,000 followers. They all run in Too Fat to Run t-shirts. They do my online programs, they buy my ebooks, and it's basically a movement to show that it doesn't matter what size you are, you can still be healthy and happy. Wow.
So what would you say are the barriers as a runner that you face?
I think it's the same in running or in life, is that people judge you and make assumptions about what you're capable of. And you know, at school, I wasn't particularly well behaved, was I? And I can remember our RE teacher, Mrs. Brooke, saying, "You're just going to end up, you know, pregnant and unemployed and all this kind of stuff." So, yeah, thanks for that. So, you know, I don't think teachers or, you know, people around me expected me to do anything with my life, and actually that inspired me just to kind of prove them wrong, really. And I think in the running world, for a long time, a lot of the running brands and government and all of that thought I was a bit of a gimmick, and they didn't take me seriously, and now they pay me as a consultant to tell them how to do fitness for plus size women. So it's a real kind of turnaround. You have to have faith that you know what you're talking about and ignore the critics and just do it anyway.
Awesome. I'm going to tell you something that I haven't actually shared with you. There was a time when we was at youth centre, and so basically straight after school, we used to head off to Freyskate Youth Centre. That was our second home, and we would always just hang out, and, you know, we'll dance, but we'll check out the guys, and, you know, just hang out basically. But there was one time where you said something about your GCSEs, and you said your mum was going to give you money for each grade, and when you said that, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's taking GCSEs really seriously, and it hit me. I was just like, even, you know, what you're saying, misbehaved and all that stuff, but actually there was that thing already inside you that you're motivated, and that kind of made me want to pull my socks up, but it was too late by then. So you kind of inspired me, even though it's too late. But so just from that time, I was just like, wow, okay, she's been serious business. And then later on, obviously, our paths have gone different ways, and then we've come back and then go and come back. And I'm always just like so surprised at all the stuff that you've achieved. I remember coming to you, asking you for advice about funding, how to apply for funding. This is Julie, who used to climb the fences and dancing, like, get in the dance class, why are you climbing? Mum, you would say that, you would tell her off all the time. But this is someone, who was a tomboy, and exactly what the teacher said, the nun said. That's kind of like what you thought. But coming from a big family, like how was that? Do you think that helped, or what was that like?
So there's 6 of us, and my mum pretty much did it by herself. So a lot of the kind of misbehaving that I did was about being heard and being seen, and not just being one of the 6 kids. And I felt like I had some opinions on life, and that's what the teachers didn't like, is that I wanted to voice my opinion. So the same qualities that really helped me run my business are the same qualities that I got in trouble for. And they say that about entrepreneurs, that they don't play by the rules, they don't do as they're told, all of these things that as a young person you think, oh, I've got to conform, I've got to do as I'm told, I've got to behave, I've got to jump through all these kind of hoops, when actually you don't. Like, you do to get on in life, but in the bigger picture, if you've got a creative mind, then, and you know where you want to go. I always knew I wanted to be someone. I didn't know quite how that was going to turn out, but yeah, I think it's really difficult for young people. When I was at an event in Hackney earlier on, where there was like 100 16-year-old girls, and it was all about careers advice, and there was 5 girls in the back just asleep like this. It was pretty boring. Like, there was 5 speakers who spoke forever. Like, I'd sleep at the back as well. But so I think young people get a really hard time, and we don't really nurture the qualities that they have. We try to mould them all into one thing.
Yep. And talking about young girls, you've got a little one yourself, Rosie, and she's how old now? 3. Okay, so how is that, being an entrepreneur and bringing up Rosie?
I think everything changed when I had a daughter, so very specifically a daughter. And I've struggled with kind of self-confidence and body image and depression, at times, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't cause any of that in my daughter. So I knew I had to pull my socks up and be a responsible parent in that way. And also, I'd been made redundant 3 times in 10 years, kind of working for other government agencies and local authorities, and I don't ever want to be in that position where somebody else has that much power over my kind of wealth and abundance. So now the only limits I have are mine, they're not other people's. And I think as women, we don't often talk about wealth creation, and I'm not necessarily talking about money, I'm talking about the freedom to live the life that you want. And I'm a single parent, so I can't rely on anybody else bringing my daughter up. There's no one coming to save me. I've got to do it by myself. And actually, that's not scary, it's empowering, because there's no limits. Look at the internet. If you think about how many millions of women are overweight and struggle with their body image, I only have to sell an ebook at 99p to all of those people, and I'm a billionaire. Do you know what I mean? So when you start to think about the world in its global sense, technology, it levels the playing field. You don't have to be in wealthy circles of businessmen to get the deals, because the people are there. You just have to give them something that they want, and the market is there to buy it.
That's great. And talking about the market, okay, so you gave me the book. So this is the New Year, same you. This is up for grabs. I don't know how I'm going to give it away, but you have to do something. So I'll think about that during the interval. So your ebooks, you've got 99 Ways to Run with a Baby, Scream If You Want to Go Faster, 5 Weeks to 5K, and Get In Past the First 30 Seconds. They're all the ebooks. Even seeing that, I'm just like, wow, she's doing all that. Still, she shocks me. Like, I can't believe Julie Creffield. Like, even like when I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but even when I was at work, I was working for East Thames Housing Association and in the marketing department. And then there'll be times when I'll be flicking through the newspapers. I'm like, oh, there's Julie. Next week, oh, there's Julie again. Oh, there's Julie. Like, it's just amazing. It's so good. But so it's amazing that you're doing all of this stuff. But are there days, keeping it real now, are there days when you're just like, this is long, I just want to give it all up?
Yeah, because...
And how do you get through that?
People sometimes look at my website and they look at what I've accomplished, they look at all the PR and they think, oh, you know, she's got a whole heap of money in the bank, she's got a big team working for her, she's got an office. The reality is it's just me in the corner of the front room. That's the reality of it. And some months I don't have enough money to pay myself. So it can be really, really challenging, and everyone loves what I do, they love the brand, but getting them to put their hand in their pocket and actually buy something from me is a different kettle of fish. And I think, you know, I'm asked to do a lot of things for free from really big companies. Coca-Cola asked me to write a blog for them, and I said, what's your budget? Oh, we don't pay bloggers. You know where I told them to go. And this is what happens all the time, and I've worked to try and get funding from Hackney Council, from Newham Council, and they give you the, oh yeah, we'd love you to put in an application, you do all the work, you jump through all the hoops, and then for one reason or another you don't get the funding, and you think, I've just spent 3 months of my quality time putting in your stupid application which you were never going to fund anyway. So it can be really, really frustrating, but I just think about the freedom that I have in my life now to take the business wherever I want. There's so many things I can do with it, and I'm just restricted by my own creativity, really.
Okay, awesome. I don't want to give this away now. Maybe an auction, maybe we can do that. Yeah, £10, highest bidder. Okay, so how would you, the music's coming in because it's like we're wrapping up soon. So, yeah. Don't play music or dance around. How would you inspire other women that maybe on the slightly larger size and feel like I'm large, so I don't want to run, I don't want to do exercise? How would you inspire these women?
It's like anything. It's the starting is the hard bit. It's like writing a book. Starting it is always the hardest thing, and I always, I've got a trick for doing stuff. You tell people you're going to do it before you've even started. And so I've done that with all of my books. I was talking about New Year's, Same You for a year. And then somebody was like, have you actually written the book yet? Like, New Year's coming? I was like, oh no, I haven't. And I'd left myself 3 weeks to write the book. But I'd been thinking about it, and I knew what I wanted. So it was just, you know, sitting down and actually doing it. And I think with any kind of fitness thing, for me, signing up to a race does it for me. You know, if I hadn't have signed up for a marathon, I would never have taken it seriously enough. You know, so I always have like a string of events in the diary, otherwise I wouldn't train.
And I think that's the same example with myself when I was here for the book launch, and I just gave Robert the dates, booked this venue, and you have to do it. Like, you're telling people, just like, okay, I have to do it now.
You have to hype yourself up.
Yeah.
You know, I put on my business card plus size athlete. And then I had a bit of a giggle, and now people describe me as a plus-size athlete. Like, kind of, you know, boost yourself up and, you know, step into the role before you're actually ready for it.
Yeah, amazing. Is there anything else you want to share before we kind of finish, wrap up?
Just as I said, like with me, it's not just about the running, it's about kind of empowering women to go for their dreams and to think big. In that book, I talk about big, fat, stupid goals. And, you know, they're big because they're, you know, big in scale, but they're fat because they're juicy, not because it's bad, you know. And sometimes you've got to think, right, what do I want to do? And it might be this big and big enough, and you've got to go for that big because, you know, life's, as you say, you've only got one life.
Yeah, that's right. On this earth. Yeah, and so... if we want to kind of look at your website, what's your website and how can people get in touch with you?
It's really easy to find me on Google. You just type in fat runner. And yeah, on Twitter I'm Fatty Must Run, and you know, the Fat Girl's Guide to Running. Anything to do with fat and running, you'll find me.
And that was weird. I just put in Julie's there. I put Julie Creffield, and she came up. I was like, that's my breakfast girl. So it's amazing, Julie. Just in front of everyone, I'm so proud of you. Do I want to say this now? So I'm really proud. Keep doing what you're doing, and you are inspiring me, and hopefully you've inspired everyone here. So keep going, keep running, girl. Has already broken the glass ceiling.